All right, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're joining in from. You're welcome to Shexel Live. All right, so I believe that you're all having an amazing weekend. Amazing week. Everything is going on. Everything is going on smooth. All right, so today we are actually going to take a deep dive into one of our templates. We are actually down customizing some of our templates, and I believe that you all enjoy the journey that we embarked customizing some of our templates. So currently there's nothing to customize for now, but we are actually going to be looking at some of our templates. So today we are looking at the project implementation schedule. Right now, the project implementation schedule is actually a very unique template if you are seeking to track a set of activities related to a project. So when it comes to health and safety, basically the project that we embark on is always the ISO certification journey, right? So every organization wants to develop their management system and they want to get certified to the ISO standard. And this actually takes time, right? So there's always a starting point and then the ending point. Now it's very, very important that we are tracking all the activities within this project, right? And some of these activities may be assigned to some individual. So basically, if you're a consulting firm or your group of consultants, it is very, very important that the entire scope of work, you break it down into actionable, tasks that you can assign to each individual so that you can be able to move very fast, or not even relating to ISO consultant, but it could equally be within the organizations. You have, everybody playing a role in making sure that you're able to achieve your ISO certification. So basically, you're going to make sure that you identify all of these activities and then you assign them to each person so that you're able to follow up, right? And once you're able to follow up, you could have progress meetings with your team to always review their actions that they are carrying out to ensure that you are on track. So that then they're able to meet within set timeline or set deadline as far as various, projects are concerned. So we're going to look at a template that we have developed, and that template is for basically tracking your ISO certification journey, but this can actually be applied to anything that has to do with projects. So it's not only limited to health and safety. It could be any other type of project. If you are working on a project, you're in a project department, you can find this template very, very insightful. All right. So without wasting time, I'm just going to head right into my template right here. And so I'll just be sharing my screen shortly. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to look at the project implementation schedule, and I'll just make my screen very big so that we can all see that. All right, so when it comes to this template, as the name connotes, it is a project implementation schedule. So the purpose of this is basically to plan all your activities that you're going to be carrying out, identify persons who are responsible for various aspects of your project, and then you're going to set timeline for each of these activities to make sure that you're able to follow up effectively to ensure that every action related to the project has been completed, and at the end of the day you're able to ascertain the current status of the project. So at any point in time you are able to know the status of the project just because everybody is putting in the work, so you can actually follow up effectively. So whoever is responsible, whether it's the HS manager or the consultant or the lead consultant, you can follow up on this with your team to ensure that you're able to achieve the goal of your project, right? So the project could be ISO certification, right? Or developing a management system. All right. So without wasting time, I'm just going to head right into the template. All right. So when it comes to our template, basically, there's always a table of contents. This applies to almost every template that we have. That's just for you to move around without having to scroll within the workbook. It's just a feature, right? So the main area that you need to pay attention to is the fact that there is what we call the approved list, right? So the approved list is where you can always set your parameters. You need to always set some sort of, parameters that you want to make sure they are consistent all throughout, the template, so that when people are making some entries, they'll not be able to sort of make mistakes and all of that. So basically, we are designing out potential for human error by making sure that everything that you need to enter has been predefined on the approved list, right? So in our approved list, we have the list of workers or list of persons that are on the project and their designation, right? So that is my name right there as the lead consultant. And then I have another gentleman who is a, integrated management system trainer. We also have this gentleman who is an external auditor, right? So we are a team of auditors or a consulting firm, and we are getting ready to carry out and embark on a project, and that project is ISO certification, right? So we have the action status right here, and that's just for us to be able to determine whether an action is open or closed. So we need to predefine these parameters. You can actually change it to whatever word you want to use, as whether completed or not completed or whatever, right? Now this is the main database. So this is the main database where you'll be tracking each activity within the project, right? So basically, the team would have planned adequately all set of activities that are relevant for us to close, so that by the end of the project, we would have been able to achieve it. So if everything turns out to be, closed, that means that we are getting closer to achieving a completion rate, which could be like 100%, right? All right. So basically, if you are planning to do, let's say, ISO certification, we're going to embark on planning, right? So planning is very, very important, that all the team must come together. But that whole planning activity could be assigned to one person, right? That we need to do planning to meet as a team to understand all the important things we need to do. That will be the work breakdown, right? So we need to break down the project into actionable tasks that we're going to be carrying out, and we need to equally embark on the next stage, which will be project kickoff meeting, right? So there's going to be project kickoff meeting with the team together with the client, and that whole action is assigned to one person. Okay. Again, we're going to look at gap analysis. There has to be a gap analysis before you set on to do any type of management system development. You need to make sure that you identify if there's something actually in existence, and if there's nothing in existence, then you can actually develop from scratch. But if there's something already in existence, then you need to make sure that you recognize that these have been implemented and there's actually a gap that we need to close. So most likely, when you're trying to embark on a project like ISO certification, you are looking to benchmark that against the ISO standard, right? So you review the current system, we benchmark it against the standard, we identify the gaps, and then we know that these are the things we need to develop for the company, right? So that's pretty much what we're doing when it comes to, gap analysis as part of the actions that we take when we are, basically, trying to. So they need to sort of develop the management system. All right. So when we are developing the management system, we already have been able to identify the gap. So we are bridging it against the standard. We're able to sort of close all the relevant documentation that we need to develop, right? So those relevant documentation could be the fact that you need to develop an OHS manual. You need to develop all relevant, procedures to address various health and safety arrangements within the organization. You need to be able to identify all the processes that must be retained as documented information, so you have all the relevant procedures for them, and you are making provision for all the forms and checklists to ensure that they have all the systems, the tools and forms and checklists that they're going to use to implement the system, right? So once you've developed the management system, All right, there could be another activity or another task that has to do with the fact that we need to do risk analysis of the business. So the risk analysis of the business is basically the fact that we are doing a comprehensive risk assessment to identify the various risks that a business is exposed to, from the safety standpoint, from the environmental standpoint, from the quality standpoint, and all of that. We could have a very comprehensive risk assessment for the business. That could be one of the activities. One of the activities could be the fact that we need to develop a training plan. So we're going to develop a training plan. We're going to develop maybe a training matrix. It could follow next. We're going to develop, all the relevant, programs that they need to take to be able to carry out, to be able to, conduct training for the workers. So we're going to identify all of these stuff as an activity, right, or as a task. Now that task could be assigned to an individual within their team. Okay. Again, we are looking at onboarding training for the management system, right? Or onboarding training on the management system implementation. So we need to make sure that we are onboarding, the organization, the team, the workers. We need to do some training. We need to let them understand their roles. Who are the process owners? All the process owners should be able to, understand their role and carry out their tasks because they contribute to the management system, right? So this could be one of the activities that we're identifying. Again, we're going to support them to implement the management system. So that is very, very important. Okay. All right. So basically, we are identifying all of these activities. Now, these activities depends on the team, right? So the team can actually have their own set of activities. But we have just developed all of these activities ahead just to support, in case you're not aware of the steps you're supposed to take to embark on ISO certification. Some of these steps have been highlighted here, but you can add on, right? So once you are done with your implementation, you're going to do an internal audit. All right, you're going to close all the actions. So you're going to log all of them in a corrective action log, and then you're going to have a management review with the team to identify opportunities for improvement. And then you can then request for your stage 1 audit, right? So the stage 1 audit is the first surveillance audit. They will just come around, certification body will come check, make sure that you guys, the system is in place, you are set up, to succeed. There's some level of records to show that you'll be implementing the system, right? They can equally have the second surveillance audit, right? So basically, we can look at it from the context of first surveillance audit, second surveillance audit, or maybe stage 1 audit, stage 2 audit. Maybe somebody will say there's a documentary review. Document review could be stage 1, stage 2 is site visit. Okay. I mean, this is just a list of tasks that you can actually provide yourself. You can revise them and all of that, but it is just a template. So as a template, you have the opportunity to list all the tasks that you're going to be carrying out to embark on your ISO certification. Based on consultation with your team, you all sit down and plan. All right. And then you're going to do the certification of the management system, and then maintenance and improvement. All of these are very important. So once you have identified all of these lists, because they're well thought out, it's done by a team of consultants, then you're going to assign each of them to each person on the team. You're going to set a start date, the end date. Now, we are currently in, 2025 March, but the data actually here start from 20 January. So if you want to start, you can actually do that. You can get rid of some of these entries and see how it looks. But take note that we are tracking the start date, the end date, and it's giving us the days between. These are the days, the period assigned for this task. And then we will be tracking the days due. So the days due is going to be tracked. So let's assume that we are currently planning these activities. Okay. So let me just put current date. So the current date today is 25th, right? So 25th, let's start. So 25th, and then the next is gonna be like we are assigning 3 days. So let's say 27th. All right. So once we assign the start date, the end date. Currently, today is 25th, so the days due is not going to be negative, right? Let's go back to, let's say, 24th, yesterday, right? The start date. All right, so the days due. So the days due is a due date. Sorry, it's basically the period that you set the target. So you want to make sure that we are tracking the days up until this period. So let's go back to, let's start, let's say 27th, right? How many days do we have more to go to 27? We have 2 days more to 27. That's pretty much what we have here. So we have 2 days more to 27th of March, and then the end date could be probably 31st of March, right? The 31st of March. So how many days have we assigned to this very action? We've assigned 5 days to this very action. The planning is going to take 5 days. How many days do we have to 27th of March? That's in 2 days time. So that is what we have here as days due. Okay, as days due. So let's assume that we have planned exactly for all of them. All of them are going to take 5 days. So that's pretty much what is here. So we have 2 days more to starting this very activity. 2 days more to starting this very activity. If it was planned for yesterday, which was 24th, then the days are overdue, right? So we would have had to start, yesterday. All right. All right, so basically in planning all of this stuff, you need to plan ahead. That's pretty much the whole point. You need to plan ahead. All right. So as of yesterday, today is 25th. This very activity is overdue. It is overdue because it is opened. Because this action must be completed by, should be started by this date. Okay. So if we indicate as closed, then there's no days due being tracked. All right. So basically there's tracking each of the activities so that we'll be able to estimate basically the fact that the activity has been closed, and we're going to assign it a score. So this percentage score is based on, basically the fact that, so this percentage score, okay, is based on a random entry that you'll be making, right? So you can insert some random entries in there that it has been completed by 100%. or it has been completed by 20%. So we need to be able to follow up. So when you have a meeting, whoever is responsible must be able to give an estimate of the state of completion. All right. So once the person has confirmed that it is 100% complete, we review the work. We all agree that that action has been completed, and for that reason, we need to close the action. So this section is basically for entering, random figures, right? So that's basically how this project implementation schedule has been structured. So as you are setting these timeline, you are tracking the Gantt chart over here. But take note that it is important that we have a start date and then an end date. All right. So we have not updated the start date of the project because the start date should replicate this. The start date should replicate this. Okay. So if we are starting on 25th, that is today, then the calendar right here is going to start from 25th. Okay, that's it right here. It's starting from 25th. So that's pretty much what it is, that the start date should be the date that you find on the calendar. And for that reason, every activity you're going to be carrying out should have a start date. Okay, and then it has to be open. So with a start date and then an end date. Now take note that the end date is probably the last date that you're gonna. All right, so the current date is today, but we cannot start a project and all right, so let me just try and break down this whole thing. All right, so I just want to make sure I'm moving at a chronological flow, right? So let's take it as we are starting a project, let's say in April, right? So we are starting on the 1st of April. That's when we are starting. So we're gonna start the project on the 1st of April. And then the end date is going to be, this very action is going to take 3 days. So we're going to set maybe 4th of April. So there we have it. You see that the Gantt chart starts to populate by default. All right, because I've not started, the start date. So I was trying to jump the steps, but we need to follow chronologically, right? So we enter the start date right here, and then we're gonna be tracking, right? So we're gonna continue. So this next activity is gonna be same day, right? Or let's say on the 4th, because after the planning, we need to have the project kickoff meeting. So that'll be like on the 4th of March, 4th of April, or let's say 5th of April, because it can be the next day, right? And this activity also, project kickoff meeting, is basically, let's say 2 days, right? Or it could be 1 day, but let's put, if you put 5th of, 5th of, that's probably just 1 day. All right, so 1 day you will not see it here, right? So we need to, let's say, all right, so 2 days. Okay, so basically that's what we have here. Okay, so we can actually put 1 day there. You can put, let's make it 1 day, right? So 5th, so just 1 day. All right, so that's right there on the 5th of April, we are gonna be carrying out this activity, and then we're gonna move on to the next. So the next activity, gap analysis. When are we doing it? We are doing it on maybe the 6th. All right, so the 6th of April, we are doing gap analysis. Gap analysis. And the end date of this very activity is gonna be maybe 7th of, okay, gap analysis, let's give it like 3 days, right? So 8th of April, right? So on the 8th of April, that's gonna be like 3 days that has been assigned to this activity. How many days due to 6th of April? We have 12 days more to 6th of April. All right, so we are planning ahead. And as you can see, this has populated in here on the Gantt chart. So from 6th of April to 7th, basically 2 days. So we have 2 days in between, right? All right, now take note that if you assign 100%, it's going to update accordingly that it has been completed. All right, so there's actually an interesting twist that you need to be aware of. If the action, if the action is 0, then you notice that it's not going to update, right? It's not going to update in terms of on the Gantt charts, right? It's going to indicate that you've planned the activity, but it has not been completed. All right, so you're going to make sure that in your progress updates or meetings with your team, when you indicate that it is 50% complete, it's going to update like this. And then if it is 100% complete, it's going to close, right? It's going to complete like this for the duration that has been assigned to this very activity. Take note that we have assigned 3 days for the activities, right? And the days due, in fact, the days is actually not due. I mean, today is 25th, so we have 3 days. How many days more to go? 12 more days to 26th of April, right? So that's basically what it is. And once we have the action closed, then the days due is not going to be tracked. Okay. So this basically the fact that we are trying to break down the whole steps of planning an activity like the ISO certification as a project. Listing all your list of activities that are going to be carrying out and the persons responsible, and realizing that, all of these stuff are going to be populated on a Gantt chart like this. And each of the, the actions that you take, whether it is open or close, and the percentage score and all of that is going to update, right? That you're actually progressing or you are retrogressing or you're not moving very fast. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to the next. And that's developing a management system. Okay, so developing management system, realistically, we can use about, let's say, a month to do that, right? So let's say a month. So we're gonna do that after the gap analysis. We're gonna develop the management system, and we're gonna, use a month to do that, right? So we're gonna start the following day, which is 9th of April, and we're gonna finish it up on the 9th of May, right? So how many durations, how many days have we assigned to this task? We've assigned 31 days for it. All right, 31 days has been assigned to this very task. And how many days more do we have to 9th of April? We have 15 days more. All right. So basically, that is what it is here, that we've assigned 31 days for this very action. And that's how come you have it all the way here. Okay, now take note that the lighter one is basically the target, right? So the target is the lighter green that you see at the background, and within this very progress, we have it there as 90% complete. Now let's go back to 0% complete. So there we have it, showing as gray in here. Okay, all right, so it's showing as gray, which means that we've planned it. It's showing on the Gantt chart, and it starts from when? It starts from 9th of April all the way to 9th of May, right? So that's pretty much what it is. So when you're having your project meetings with your team, you're going to find out what is the status of this very action, right? How far are we progressing? All right, based on all the things that we've done, we can justifiably say that we are 80% complete. So if you're 80% complete, how does that look on the Gantt chart, right? That's right here, that we are 80% complete. So that is pretty much the very darker green color. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next, and that is conducting risk analysis of the business. All right, so conducting risk analysis of the business, we are going to set the following day for that very activity. Okay, so we're going to do that on the 10th of April. And then how many days should we assign to this activity? All right, so risk analysis should probably take like 3 days. So let's say we're going to use 3 days for that. So that's going to be on the 13th of April. So on the 13th of April, right? So we've assigned basically 4 days to it, right? So on the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, that's 4 days. All right. And then the days due to the 10th of April from now, on the current date, that is today, we have 14 days. So we have 16 days more to go. All right. Now let's find out how that shows on the Gantt chart. Now bear in mind that when we have it, when we plan it, initially it's going to be there as we need to make sure that whoever is responsible has updated this. I mean, this type of template can be on a SharePoint. It could be on a SharePoint or a Google Drive or whatever. Everybody can access to it, right? Can have access to it. So basically what is happening is that once you identify the action and you set all the start and the end date, you notice that it was going to update right here, right? So fair enough. If you have not, okay, so an interesting thing you need to know is that you can be developing the management system at the same time you could be doing risk analysis, right? So you don't necessarily have to follow in a sequential order. Like from 9th May, you move on to 10th May, you could equally be doing some of them together. So this one clearly shows that you're doing some together, right? So on the Gantt chart, you can see that we have this activity right here, not all the way here, but right here. Okay, so what is the current status of it? All right, this very activity, I think we are 100% complete. So you can see that right here is 100% complete. Assuming it was 80% complete, that's right here. So the target is the gray one, and then the actual is the darker or the deeper color, right? So assuming that this very activity has been 100% completed, right? You just go in here and choose 100% complete. Now this very, decision to say it's 100% complete is based on the fact that we have met, we have agreed as a team, and we can all say that this activity has been 100% completed. All right. Now let's move on to the next. So after we finish developing the management system, and then we've done the risk analysis, we need to develop the training plan. Now take note, training plan can run concurrently with developing the management system. So let's give it another reasonable date. All right, so let's say that risk analysis, developing a training plan for the entire workforce, we can do that on the 14th of April, right? And then let's say we're going to assign about probably 5 days to do this activity. So let's say by 19th we should be done, 19th of April, right? So once we estimate, we set the end date or the target date, take note that we have assigned 6 days for this very activity. How many days more to go to this 14th of April? Take note that today's date is 25th of March, right? So we have 20 days more to go. Now let's go to the dashboard, right? Now take note that when you set the target, initially 0. So let's see on the Gantt chart, like on the Gantt chart, we go on the Gantt chart. That's it right there, right? So we have set the activity. It's on the Gantt chart, is there as gray, or sorry, a lighter green. And that shows that we have actually planned it. Now, assuming we are complete, and then we have a meeting, and we've all agreed, okay, developing the training plan, this activity, we've completed it. Or the time we did a meeting, we're 30% complete. Let's go and look at the, the Gantt chart. You can see that we are, basically 30% complete. We have a lot more to go. So the next time we're gonna meet, we're gonna find out from the guy who is responsible. This is the person this is the lead person in charge of this activity, right? So we're gonna ask him the training plan currently. What is the status? All right, we are 100% complete. So I select this and I go back to check. I notice that yes, as we have agreed, we are 100% complete. Fantastic. Now take note that every time you achieve 100%, you need to make sure that you are closing it here. So every 100% that you achieve, just close the activity. So we're gonna be closing all of this. So this is basically teamwork. We are a team and we are reviewing the progress of the activities. So we have quite a lot of them to go. Now when it comes to implementation, you want to achieve ISO certification. You don't want to do any shoddy work, right? So as a group of consultants, we have let the client understand that there's no need to rush when it comes to implementation. Let's give ourselves, let's say 4 months, right? Let's use 1 quarter to gather adequate documentation. So we're gonna, basically, all right. So I think I jumped the step. We're looking at onboarding training on the management system. So onboarding training will take effect after we have developed the management system, right? So we develop the management system. We use 31 days to do that. So on the 9th of May, that's when we should be done with the management system development. So we can comfortably say that by, let's give ourselves some room. We need to have breathing space, right? So on the 12th of May, we are going to do training. We are going to train all the workers, but assuming the company has a large number of workforce, right? That's a huge workforce. We need to identify all the process owners, the management, everybody must be on board. We need to train them on the management system, especially the process owners, the heads of department, right? So we're going to allocate maybe 10 days for that. So from 12th of May, 10 days, that's going to be like 22, right? 22nd of May, we should have trained all the workers on management system, right? So we actually allocated, 11 days for that. Let's try to reduce it because we said 10 days, right? So 10 days for this activity. Now, how many days more to go? From the current date, which is today, 25th of March, we have 48 days more to go for this activity, right? Now we have planned it. Given the fact that we've planned it and we are tracking it, we've assigned it to this person. This gentleman is supposed to do the follow-up, right? All right, this person is supposed to, he's a lead auditor. Sorry, he's a lead person for the training because it's division of labor. We don't want to rush the process. We want to divide the task. So let's go and look at how that shows on the Gantt chart. All right, so it's all the way here. That's it right here. We have planned this activity on the 11th, on the 12th of May, all the way to 21st of May, right? So let's go back and check. Now we have completed this action, right? Let's have a meeting with this gentleman. So we are a team of consultants. How far have we gone with this? I can comfortably say we are 50% complete. Okay, that's fantastic. Let's see that on the Gantt chart, right? So we go all the way here. And we can see that we are 50% through, right? So that's it right here. All of this showing that we are 50% through, okay? So it goes all the way for us to now eventually say that as far as training on the management system is concerned, we are 100% complete, right? So we estimate the 100% and we go all the way to verify. And we're going to see that everything is green now, right? All the, basically the time we allocated for it, everything shows green for this very activity. Fantastic. So based on that, we can move on to the next, which is the fact that we now have to do management system implementation. We don't want to rush the process. So we are saying that we're going to use 6 months for management. Okay, 6 months is too far. We're going to use maybe 4 months, a quarter for management system implementation to gather enough records of implementation so that when we start with the audits, the first surveillance audit, we have some records to show, right? So we're going to allocate a quarter. So that will be like from 20. Let's give ourselves room. We are human beings. We don't have to rush rush things. So we're gonna do it on the 25th of May, after we have rested for a while. All right, and then we're gonna give ourselves 3 months. So 3 months will be like May, June, July, August, right? So August is gonna be like same 25th of August. All right, so 25th of August. All right, so basically this action is open. Now bear in mind, it's supposed to be open. So how many days more do we have to go? We have 61 days. So a quarter is how many? That's 3 months, right? So 3 months, basically we are on track. So how many days more to this very date? Now take note that every single day, the current date is going to be updating. So every single day, the current date is going to be changing, right? So as the current date keeps changing, the days due will keep reducing, all right? Up until the point it gets to 0 and it gets into the negatives, right? So right now, if you look at it in this context, you can see that we are in the negatives. Today is actually 25th of March, but the start date is 3rd of January. We've still not completed this action. So we are 81 days overdue. But of course, this is just data, right? The start date of the project is supposed to be 1st of April. So this does not apply. We are just setting an example that you can be tracking days due, and that can get into the negatives, showing that some of the actions are overdue. All right. So with the same analogy, all right, let's just complete this whole thing, and then we'll see how that translates on the dashboard. Okay. So basically, when it comes to internal audits, we are done with the management system, documentation, implementation, everything. Now we are doing internal audits, because as consultants, we want to make sure that the company is ready for the first surveillance audit. So we want to make sure that they are actually, having enough records to show they have, the process owners understand their roles, they understand the process. So we are doing an audit, all right? So the steps in doing audit, we already know, all right? So all the auditors, safety professionals, we've been doing audits every time, okay? So basically, we're going to assign just maybe 2 days to do the audit. So that's going to be like on the 27th of August, right? 27th of August, we're going to do an audit. We're going to use, let's say, 2 days to do that. So that'll be like on the 30th of August. So that shows that we are signing actually 4 days for that. So we can use 4 days, all right? And then we are closing all corrective actions. So corrective actions, we're going to use the same day of the audit. Or, okay, let's say corrective actions, as we all are aware, there are short-term and long-term corrective actions, right? There are long-term and short-term. So we are not going to stress ourselves too much. We're going to allocate, let's say, a month for that, because at the end of the day, we are planning to get ISO certification. So we don't want to waste too much time trying to close an actions. Let's assign, okay, let's make it like a week, all right? So from the 1st of September to the 5th of September, we should have closed all the non-conformance that we identified, right? Or sorry, we should have closed all the corrective actions, because when you do the audit, you identify deviations. These are the non-conformance, and then you set corrective actions, and they're supposed to close all of them out, right? So somebody is responsible for following up. That's this gentleman. He's supposed to follow up, right? So we have closed all the corrective actions, all right? Now, management review. After we have closed all the corrective actions, we need to have a management review with the company. We need to have a first management review, because we need to make sure that we have a management review record to show that, yes, they equally understand what it takes to do management review. We discussed all the areas of improvement, opportunity for improvement. We checked customer satisfaction survey. We checked, basically risk and opportunity register. We reviewed it. We've checked, all the non-conformance. We've reviewed it. We've looked at all the corrective actions. If there were any incidents, we have reviewed the incident report. All the actions that we identified from the incident, we have reviewed all of them. So basically, there are steps when it comes to management review. So that is also a topic for another day. So basically, management review should not take more than 1 day, right? You can use 1 day to do management review. So we're going to say that on the 7th of September, we're going to have our first management review. All right, so that's going to be like the same 7th. We can use the same 7th. Okay, so that's just 1 day, right? Let's say this action is still open, and let's assume it is 0. All right, so that's it right there. If you go to the Gantt chart on September, right, we go all the way to September, we notice that there's one entry in there. All right, so when we get to September, you're gonna see that there's one entry, right? So there we have it. There we have it, right? This very one shows that on the 7th of September, we have planned to do our management review, right? So we are back now. Okay. So basically, we are gonna move on. So this one, you can call it first surveillance. The terminology we use is called first surveillance audit. That is the audit that is done by the certification body. They come for the first time to check the management system as, you know, whether it is adequate, it has been properly implemented, it meets all the requirements of the ISO standard. So there's a first surveillance audit, not stage 1 audit, right? Stage 1 audit is document review. Stage 2 is site visits. So this is going to be second surveillance audit. All right, so this gentleman is the, you know, the auditor from the certification body. So he's going to be coming, we're going to fly him to the country. You know, always they're coming from another country, right? So we're going to be flying them in, but that is the company's responsibility. We are making sure that we're able to mobilize him here. So that's actually a project. In fact, the first surveillance audit itself is another project, right? Because we need to make sure that we have given the necessary support. The person has been properly accommodated, given all the, you know, logistics and everything. So that itself is a project. So let's say we are giving ourselves the first surveillance audit is going to take like maybe 5 days, right? Because usually we don't want them to stay for long, because the longer they stay, the more, you know, cost expensive it becomes, even with the audit, right? So we want to keep it very short and sweet. So that's going to be like on the 10th of September, we're going to have our first surveillance audit, and the surveillance audit is going to take just let's say 3 days, right? So that's 3 days. And then the second surveillance audit. So once you have the first surveillance audit, you're going to get our ISO certification anyway, but the chances are that there could be some corrective actions that must be closed, and that can give us some time to keep improving the system. But if you're lucky with the first surveillance audit, you can get certified to the ISO standard. All right, and then that's pretty much it. We are done. Okay, but then there are instances where there could be second surveillance audits, and that's the following year, but that's not, you know, that is not within this particular schedule. But it is just for information purpose that we put second surveillance audit in there. We can continue building that, you know, the logic that we are setting right now, that there's another date for, let's say, second surveillance audit, but that's basically if it's really necessary, right? So on the 14th, another surveillance audit or whatever. So basically you get the point I'm making, that you can list all your activities, right? So the certification of the management system would definitely be issued in due time once they are confident that everything is in good order. So let's assume that in October you got certified to the ISO standard. All right, so this is the certification came within 1 day or 2 days, right? Eventually came, or you've been following up. So you can say we've been following up on the certification for the past how many days? Let's say on the 15th of September, we've been trying to follow up. All right, so it took us 32 days to get a certificate because we've been following up, and that could probably be a project on its own that we are just allocating time to follow up, and somebody is responsible for following up to make sure that the certificate has been received, right? And then subsequently, we're going to be improving the system. So the improving the system can probably take the rest of the year, right? The rest of the year from, you know, let's say 17th of October to 31st of December. That is the support you're giving to the company. We are giving them extra support. You're saying that we're going to be sticking around to help you to improve the system further and everything. Now, by the time we are done, we're going to have a lot of, you know, closed ones. A lot of actions would have been closed. So all the actions are closed. Some of them, all right, some of them are closed. And if they are closed, then they're going to be 100%, right? So every closed action should be 100%. And that's pretty much it. So once we are done, what we do is that we go to the dashboard. Now there's a dashboard, okay? So on the dashboard, all we need to do is just refresh the workbook, right? So we go to the data tab on the menu and then we refresh all. Once we refresh all, everything updates, right? So we have basically, we can filter by each of the persons. I mean, each person, we can filter by each person to know the current status of their very actions that they had to take. So this person was assigned 5 actions, right? All of them have been closed. All of them have been closed, all right? This person equally was assigned 1 action and they have been closed, all right? Closing corrective action, 100%. All right, so 1 action is open. Sorry, 1 action is open, 1 is closed. All right, this very person also, 5 actions are open, 5 are closed, okay? So in terms of the actions, we have the details in here. Okay, so if an action is open, it's supposed to be 0. So let's go and see what happened that 1 action is closed and it's still 100%. All right, so there we have it. That's the issue right here. That if an action is open, it cannot be 100%, right? Let's assume it's 0. All right, so we go to the dashboard and refresh the workbook. You notice that there we have it. This action is still open, right? And it hasn't been completed. Now let's assume that this action has been completed by 80%, right? When you come to the dashboard and refresh the workbook, there we have it. This action is 80%, okay? So we can quality check. If you want to quality check, it's easy to quality check, right? So we are talking about this gentleman, Alfred Elikem, right? So if I go into a template, I look for Alfred Elikem, right? I could apply a filter. I could easily apply, I could put a header, you know, a header, there's a, what do you call it? A filter, right? You can do that if we unprotect the worksheet, but take note, the password is shared with you, right? But we can tell this gentleman, he was assigned the task only twice within the list, right? So that's it basically. And out of the task, he has 1 closed and he has another open. So that's what we have here. All right, 2 actions. 1 is closed, 1 is open. Overall score, that's the average of the score. Sorry, not overall, the average of the score for this gentleman. You can check for this person, you can check for this person. All right, and then let's assume we close all the action, because it's very important. We took our time to follow up to make sure all the actions are closed, because at the end of the day, we are supposed to close, you know, the project. We are supposed to complete the project. So we close all the projects. We are 100% certain that every activity has been closed, because we are handing over the whole management system to the company. We are done providing support. Okay, so we come here and refresh the workbook. Everything is 100%. So there's a documentary evidence that we can share with the team that, hey, we did our audit, we came, we supported your company. All right, so let me show my face now. All right, so that's pretty much it. So basically, this shows that we are able to track various activities within, you know, the project that we are doing, and we are breaking each of these activities down. We are assigning it to persons responsible because they are part of the team. It's all about division of labor, right? As a consulting team or as a team of auditors, we are dividing the task and all of that. We have the start date, the end date. We are tracking each of these activities. We are having progress meetings to be able to close each of these actions. We're able to tell the status of each action or each activity, and that translates on the dashboard. So as you can see on the dashboard, all of these activities are listed in here on this side, right? All of these activities have been listed. All of them are 100%. All of them have been closed. The overall score is 100%. And basically, we can filter by each of the workers. So basically, all of these workers, all of these guys, they are in here, right? So they're all in here, and we can clear the filter. Now take note that the filter is always here. We can always clear the filter. So when you clear the filter, that's when you're going to see that, okay, so that's pretty much the entire scope of what the data that we have in the database, right? This is the entire scope. You have 15 activities. All 15 have been closed. These were the persons whom the tasks were assigned to. And this overall score. Okay, so that's pretty much it. And then we have all of these individual reports, which you can use to further communicate among your stakeholders, right? Because sometimes you probably want to just use a simple chart and just put it on a Word document or a PowerPoint slide. You can just copy from here, right? However, if you want to use this also, you can, but you can share this like how I'm sharing it on a live stream like this. You can have a Zoom session with your team, and then you're sharing the progress, right? The progress can be shared in various formats, not necessarily having to be on a PowerPoint slide. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I believe that this video was insightful. All right, so I believe that this video was insightful. In case you are interested in this template, I'm just going to show you how to get it. All right, all you need to do is just visit our website. So I'll just show my website right now. Okay, share screen now. All right, so when you visit our website, www.shexel.com, okay, now to be able to navigate on our website is very, very simple, because we have all the templates listed on our site. Okay, so basically when you land on our website, we have all our list of templates right in here, right? They are all down here. All of them are down here. You're gonna find the project implementation schedule over here, right? That's the last but 4 item right here. Once you click on it, it brings you to this page, and on this page you're gonna see exactly what we just showed, right? Everything that we showed is here, so there's nothing about whatever you are seeing is different from what you may have bought, all of that. And then if you're interested, just click on download. So we provided all the relevant information. All right, so take note that we are trying our best to ensure that we are creating value for our users, and you can always jump on a call with us. So if you want to have a meeting, you just come to the support page like this and you click on book meeting. Okay, once you click on book meeting, you can always book a meeting with us. Okay, so we are always ready to provide the needed support. So if you want to have a meeting, it's very, very simple. Just come here, click the time at your own convenience. You can always have a meeting with us. Okay, so that's pretty much it. All right, so see you guys again in another video. There was some engagement today. I just want to find out, basically all the people who showed up in this meeting. I just want to recognize all of you. So thank you all for showing up. Thank you, Clement, for engaging with us. Hello, are you able to share to this? Yes, so definitely you can grab it on our website, because it's actually a zip file, right? It's a zip file, and you can download it right on our website. Okay, because we are building a database of all the users on our site, and for that reason you have to be on our database so that when you need support, we can verify you as a user. We can be able to provide the support. All right, so Mahamdu Rafat, all right, so thanks for the feedback. Great info. All right, so can you share the file below? All right, so that's pretty much what I just mentioned. It's very insightful. Thank you very much, Clement. So all those who engaged, you're most welcome, and I'm going to see you guys again in another video tomorrow. Bye for now.